Welcome in to another episode of the WestsLife podcast. I am your host, Josh Barnett, and we are brought to you by Holman Barnes Group, which includes West Ashfield Leagues Club, the best place to watch the final game of the season coming up on Friday night when the boys take on Manly. I think we all need an off-season, the fans, the players, the whole club really needs the summer to come along. But head to West Ashfield to watch the final game and the girls' game as well. Actually, I don't know. I'll get Az to remind me who and when the girls play next week. But before we go to Az at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter, please give us a follow on those. Our Instagram's nearly up to that 1,000 mark, so that'd be pretty cool if we can get that to crack the ton. And in those profiles there, you'll find a link to our link tree, which has links to everything. So if you want to find where the podcast is on certain podcast outlets, our YouTube channel, shouts to all our people joining us on a Sunday night after two shit losses. You guys are the absolute real ones. If you're watching us live right now on YouTube, you are absolute homies of ours. That is such a great effort joining us on a non-normal night after the season's just absolutely gone down the toilet. Even the girls' season not looking good as well now. But look, West Tigers Therapy, we'll get into it. And patreon.com/WestLife if you'd like to support and take part in the show. Mr. Thompson, how are you on this Sunday evening?
Yeah, g'day, Josh. G'day, listeners. Happy to be here. Would have been nice to be here under better circumstances, but I'm all right. I watched the footy yesterday. Obviously, it wasn't a great performance. Have a bit of a chill day today and watching other sports and other NRL games and other codes to see how their seasons finish up. So it's been a bit of a chill weekend.
How are my Richmond Tigers going? Are they in the finals?
They are gone. They were gone a few weeks ago.
Okay. That shows how much I told myself, because obviously Mr. Bashara is a long-time Richmond Tigers fan. So I told myself I'd follow them closely. But you can only... I think I've just hit my sports quota. I don't have any... Between Formula One, Supercars, NBA, NFL, Rugby League, of course. I don't know I can... Now just finished watching the Boomers lose to Germany in the Basketball World Cup as well. I think... I've really hit my sport quota tonight. But... unfortunately, the Aussies losing tonight in the basketball also hurt. Just a shit weekend of sport. Just a shit. And Daniel Ricciardo broke his finger. It couldn't get any worse this weekend for sport. Just a terrible weekend.
My Swannies popped an L as well.
And this. Oh yeah, there you go. So it's just we're just taking it from each end as not a good weekend for any of our passions, I guess. So look, let's get back to the rugby league at hand and a BENJI Marshall press conference that literally, obviously
lasted all 3 minutes, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Obviously, I go onto the YouTube and rip the YouTube into audio, and it takes a little while to listen to it and cut it all up. And I saw it was 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to spend much time this week on BENJI and Appy talking to the media. But let's start with BENJI basically summarising the game.
Yeah, I thought the start of the second half probably hurt us a little bit. We spoke during the week about how we wanted to play. And for 30 minutes, I thought we played solid to that, kicked early, turned them around and played pretty tough. And a couple of key moments, which has probably been the story of our season, just hurt us there. But can't fault the lads for the effort.
What were those key moments that you identified?
Oh, they're little things that we talked about, kicking early moments, just trying to keep on top of the completion rate, which I thought we were pretty good at, most of it. And as soon as we let those moments slip, they're too good a team with field position. They make you pay, and we paid the price tonight.
It's hard to be fluid in attack when you've got 8 different halves pairings, or your 8th tonight. How much does that play?
Oh, look, you just don't want to make excuses. Whoever gets in and does the job just got to do it. We had a bloke, our number 9, playing 7 last week, did a fair job. We got the win. So you can't complain about people playing out of position. So we just got to move on, be better.
Happy, pretty brutal.
Yeah, I thought the start of the
I have to say, I think I said it last week, but I love Benji in the press conference. I think he's a breath of fresh air. But 30 minutes of good play in a game of rugby league that's 80 minutes long. That left 50 minutes of torture, really, didn't it?
Yeah, we got off to a good start, and I was really impressed with how well we started. To score the first try against a team who was, let's just say, desperate, was a really good sign of how we were looking to play the game. It helped that they made a few errors, and that allowed us to get some good field position, and we defended quite solidly at first. And then it kind of just all fell apart in both attack and defense. With about 10 minutes to go in the first half. And from there, we were pretty diabolical on both sides of the ball.
The game should have been tied at halftime. It was just that 6 again call, right? Just nothing. The game, I tweeted out a video clip of it. Obviously, if you really, really, really want to be picky, I guess it was, but just on the 5th tackle, just to call 6 again in that moment. And obviously they go out to Tupou to score. Like really to go into the sheds down as opposed to tied. Like if they went into the sheds tied with the Chooks, they might have think, oh, here, hang on, guys, we can match it with these guys. But just a real sliding doors moment there as.
Yeah, and it's funny that those are the calls that we never seem to get as well. Like I know it's a while back, but go back to the Canberra game at Campbelltown. All game, they were laying all over us, slowing down our ruck, which was how we had been able to get on such a good roll in the 3 games that we had won prior to that. But they were allowed to get away with practically everything. I think we got maybe a couple 6 agains during the sin bin period where Canberra were down a player. But other than that, we got nothing. And it seems that the referees are happy to give us those 6 again calls on the first or second tackle. But when it's the 5th tackle, last tackle, whatever, that they'll just put the whistle back in their pocket and keep the arm down.
I hate the 6 again. Do you know a single person that likes the 6 again? Can we just go back to penalties? Like, fuck me.
I mean, it was a good idea to keep the speed of the game up, and that was obviously their intention with it. But it's opened a massive can of worms, allowing referees to have
with one ref too.
Considerably more control over a game than they ever used to.
Yeah,
I honestly think the second ref needs to come back so both teams can be kept an eye on. That way, penalties can be blown for or against when necessary. Because having only one referee and the touchies seem to have their eyes glued on these days with the forward passes they're missing and everything. So I don't know what the point of having the touchies there is. I think we need to go back to the second ref next year. They probably won't because it's cost cutting, blah blah blah. But I honestly think they should.
It's $1 billion TV deal. What does it cost to hire a couple more referees? Seriously, but
exactly.
Speaking of refereeing, he's Benji talking about the Jared Warrior-Hargreaves sin bin.
Well, he must have. Like, he got sin bin for it, so the ref saw enough in it to be sin bin. Potentially, probably a send-off, but at the same time, that's the referee's job to deal with that. And to be honest, it didn't cost us the game.
It was a very sort of stop-start.
Well, we'd sort of cut. I really got to cut these better. Yeah, Benji is right there. It didn't frustrate me that much. I've always hated Jared Warrior-Hargreaves. We've kind of had that hatred for him since Simon Dwyer nearly took him out in the 2010 semi, which should have been our win if the referees knew what an actual scrum looked like. But let's not open up old wounds. Let's look at the one in front of us. Jared Warrior nearly taken Appy's head off. I mean, Appy thankfully not being badly injured, but I mean, it was an extra 5 minutes. So going from Simbin to send off, not really that costly or difference maker. The game is over. But if it happened earlier in the game, I would have been pretty pissed off with. He probably should have been a Simbin, but in the context of the game, it didn't really make a difference.
Yeah. I remember round 23, I think it was, when they had that really big crackdown in regards to the sin bins and send offs for offences. And looking at that hit on Appy plus the striking with the head charge against Stefano, there was less than that was sin binned in round 23. So, less than that was sent off in round 23. So, I feel like a send off potentially could have happened, but like you said, it didn't have too much of an effect on the game. We weren't going to come back from what I think we were still just 18 points down at the time or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 3 or 4 scores in 15 minutes or something. But yeah,
and they scored one late one to win by 24 or whatever it was.
Yeah, but I mean, he got 6 weeks for it, so that South can thank us for helping them next week when they play him. But it makes
Evens the playing field with Latrell out.
Yeah, I tweeted out today. I think the suspensions, it's a little bit difficult if they go into retirement, or if they switch teams, I guess, across the off season. But you should be suspended the next time you play that opponent, because how does Appy's head nearly getting taken off? It doesn't really advantage us, him getting suspended for 6 weeks. Like, shouldn't we get an advantage by him not playing against us the next time? I don't know. That's what I reckon.
The perfect example is Tino, what Tino did to Appy and how that wasn't penalised at all. And how we lost Appy for, 5 weeks or so?
Yeah.
With a bye in there. And Queensland got to have Tino play for them. And then the Titans had Tino play for them while we had a player who was hit with an act of foul play out for an extended period. How is that fair?
Yeah, absolute bullshit. Shout out to our friends at West Ashfield. So obviously being Sunday night, they haven't had a chance to get an ad to us just yet. So I'll just, as we always do, we'll promote the Garden Bistro and Walk On. So if you're heading to looking for somewhere, you don't want to go to Brookvale on Friday. Who wants to go all the way to the Northern Beaches? Parking there's shit. It's 6 p.m. Friday. Are we 6 p.m. Friday?
Yep.
This week? I mean, I love going out and support the boys, but who's going to go all the way to Manly on a 6 p.m. Try and fight peak hour traffic getting to the Northern Beaches, cross that bloody spit bridge? Why would you? Just go to West Ashfield, get a feed, get a pizza, the Garden Bistro. We'll let you know later in the week if they're doing any deals or anything Friday night. When are the girls playing us next week?
Sunday, 12 o'clock, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Up on
for
the
a Sunday beer and pizza and watch the girls on the big screen as well. So show your support to the major sponsors of the West Tigers, Holman Barnes Group. We also love the little Markets Club too, which we watched this beat the Dragons at this year. If you want a little more low-key venue, just quietly, that's a bit closer to our home than Ashfield. We quite like it there to watch the footy as well. But you can see all their venues, holmanbarnesgroup.com.au. Holman Barnes Group, bringing people together. Yeah, good Chinese food. That's at that little club. Right, some news. So I didn't choose this. Maybe I did choose this headline on purpose. Ex-Tiger linked with replacing Justin Pascoe. I don't think that's actually going to happen, but Mark O'Neill coming back to the West Tigers as it's been touted. He's currently at Parramatta, formerly at the West Tigers, and got fired. Look, I don't want to say anything. We've already been in trouble with lawyers and that sort of thing this week, so he got fired for some sort of misdemeanor of some sort. I honestly don't know exactly what it was, but anyway, he might be coming back to the club, old buckets as.
Yeah, I honestly didn't know anything about him or what happened with him at the club until someone in the Discord mentioned what you're not saying. I mean, we need someone in the position. I don't know if he's going to be good enough or if he's good for the position, or what his past is like. Apparently, he's had some involvement with Parramatta.
When you say the position, it's the head of football, I believe, isn't it?
He's the head of football, is he?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to go for CEO. I don't think that's what it's going to be. But yeah, I highly doubt he'd be CEO of the club.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Rumors are rumors after all.
Yeah, I don't know. Because as much as we bag Pascoe out, a CEO kind of needs... I don't know that much about Buckets. I do know that he used to be a fitness trainer at Carlingford Fitness First. I remember seeing his face on the wall there not long after he hung up the boots. He was a personal trainer for a bit. There's a lot of footy players. Personal training or real estate seems to be what most footballers, or if they don't go into the media itself. But yeah, I highly doubt he'd become CEO of the West Tigers, but I don't know.
Someone has to.
Yeah, watch this space, I guess. Get all the boys back. So the 2005 squad, who's not there? Hodjo's was, but isn't there. Our wingers, what's Fitzhenry doing these days? He's not there. Paddy Richards has popped in. Centers Fatawiras, he was on behind the Raw the other day, wasn't he? Is he working with the club? I thought he was at the Shane Elford is at the Panthers. Princey's up in Queensland with.
He's head coach of the Broncos NRLW.
Yeah, I was going to say he's at the Bronx. Go back to the Bronx. Gibbo's, I don't know what Gibbo's doing. Something on the Shire. Robbie Farah obviously is at the club. Scando's obviously at the club.
Hino's at the club. Was
Hino's at the club. Yep. Liam Fulton's doing home loan. What do you call it when you go looking for a home loan? Home
broker.
That's the word I was looking for. He's a real estate broker. Trying to think who else was in. I've literally got the shirt on. I've got my.
We all know where Toddy Payton is.
I'll pull my shirt off and read the back. Toddy Payton, yeah, obviously he's up at the Cows. Trying to think who else is in that squad. Shannon McDonald was in the squad. What's Shannon McDonald up to these days? Not sure.
I've run out of names that I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, 2005. Bring all the boys back. Right, speaking of bringing a boy back, Aiden Caesar. So, just a little story in the Sydney Morning Herald saying it's just one of those feel-good pieces that Aiden Caesar saying he's got lots to prove and all these stereotypical cliche blah, 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 blah sort of stuff. But I thought, good talking point. We're really showing that we need a good, solid steer of the game. And I think Aiden Caesar, a lot of people, I've seen maybe a 50-50 sort of response to the Aiden Caesar signing, but my thoughts on it is it can't be much worse. I wouldn't say I'm excited for him coming, but I'm very much intrigued to see Aiden Caesar in our side next year.
Yeah, we definitely need some experience in the halves with young Latu and Jaden Sullivan as pretty much the only halves we'll have. Only other halves will have who will be fit going into next season. Obviously, Adam Dewey's still going to be there, but he's out until likely July, I think, was mentioned somewhere recently. I think that might have been on their.
I think he'll come back into the centres, and I'm basing that on no information or anything, but you bring him back in the centres, I would think.
Yeah, well, we're lacking in the centres, and he'd be a good candidate for the centre spot. He'd probably want to be in the 5'8" position to prove his value, because I think that's where he wants to play. Isn't that where he wants to play?
Yeah, I believe that's what he wants to play, but I think at this stage, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. And when you're coming back halfway through a year, yeah, I don't think he'll go into the halves. I don't know. We'll see. It all depends how the team's going. If the team's like only won 3 games like they had this year, halfway through the season, maybe they do try something different. But if we're going okay, you're probably not going to break up whoever the halves combo is at that moment. Some consistency would be nice by mid-year next year. So we'll see what happens.
The thing with Caesar is he's got a kicking game, and that's pretty much what we've been lacking in recent years. And like one of the biggest criticisms of Brooksy has been his kicking game in general play. And I think Caesar's going to bring a lot to that. I think Jaden Sullivan will be a good running 5'8" off the back of him, while Latu applies his trade down in the lower grades. So, I mean, there's plenty of potential there. I think our season is deeply, deeply in trouble if Aiden Caesar goes down injured at any point. But as long as he stays fit, I think we'll be able to go all right and be a little bit more competitive next year. At least that's the hope, anyway.
Yeah. Speaking of hope, God, I hope they re-sign this guy, Sean Blaw. So the story came out in the SMH, I think, this week, saying that he's being headhunted by Bellamy. I already knew this previously. I think I alluded to it on the show in previous weeks, so I did know that he had been reached out by Craig Bellamy. The Storm really want him. There was potential for a swap. They were going to offer Olam for a swap because we're short on centers at the moment. But Benji, he really wants to stay. Benji really wants him, so fingers crossed. My gut feeling, and this is not based on any info of talking to Sean or anyone around him. I feel like the West Tigers will wait for the season to finish, and I mean, if this kid just get a full preseason, I reckon he's going to come out firing next year. So hopefully, when the season finishes, the West Tigers start ticking boxes. I saw a few people saying they need to prioritize Tupou and Steph and other guys as well. But I mean, prioritize all of them. Surely we can prioritize. It's a squad of 30. Surely not going after.
Don't let a single one of them slip through the
Yeah,
cracks.
You're not dealing with one person at a time. Get them all done. Don't let the talented ones go.
And if they all have different player managers, you don't have to worry about like one at a time for a player manager. You can literally have conversations or make it deals with all the different player managers at the same time. And I agree with you. Sean is definitely one of the ones we need to keep. I remember seeing, I think it was Nothing But West Tigers on Twitter, questioning and debating why we're so keen, or why some people are so keen on locking Bloor up. But I think he's proved in his play this year, when he's actually been able to get game time, that he is he's ready. He's a player of the future, and with like you said, with the full preseason, he could be anything. Like, he could be an absolute superstar. He's
23.
He's still got so much of his career ahead of him.
Yeah, obviously the injuries, like he's had a couple in recent times, but I'm pretty sure he's only asking for 1 or 2 years extended. So he's not even asking for a Tino like contract. Just wants a little extension. That's what she said. Righto. Back to the game itself. So 32-8 on Saturday evening. 5 tries to 1. That's a 5 there. My eyes really need to get glasses. Good to see Tristan Riley score a try though.
Yeah, that was awesome. I enjoyed watching that. It was very much a solo try. He had to beat 4 or 5 players and still get over the line, hold onto the ball and plant it down. And he did it really, really well. He could definitely be a center of the future. Not sure if he's fast, if he's got the speed in him that we need in the backs, and haven't really been able to get an idea of him defensively too much as of yet, considering he's only played the 2 games, but could potentially be a player of the future there. With our other centre looking at 2 charges from the judiciary, we may have an entirely new centre pairing next weekend for the last game as well.
Yeah. I like this Tristan Riley kid. I reckon he's not a kid, actually. He's actually 20. I'm 35. It's a kid to me, but he's 24-ish, isn't he? He's actually quite old for a debutant. He's been around.
I think so. Yeah, that sounds about right. 24 sounds about right.
So he's actually not that. He's not that fresh, but I feel like he hits a hole really well. He seems to have that feel for the game. He kind of just sets himself up and puts himself in good positions, which is what we've really lacked in the centers this year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I really like Tristan Riley. Hopefully Felity can get a debut next week. That'd be cool. Riley and Felity in the centers next week.
Well, there's no reserve grade anymore. And
Yeah,
no flag or reserve grade, so
Mm.
their seasons are done. So there's a chance for Felity to make a debut in the final round if Benji wants to see it happen.
Unless he's already on his way to Bali with the Magpies boys or something. Yeah, say hang around, have a debut before you get on the bin tanks.
Before you go on the holiday.
Yeah. Righto, statistics for this one, 50-50 possession. Yeah, the completion rate's pretty close to 30 of 41 for us, 31 of 43 for them. Post contact meters pretty close, Chooks by about 80. Run meters, they had about 500 of us. They definitely look like they made meters much, much easier than we were, which seems to be, man, our line speed. It's just, man, it just looks like sometimes it's adults against boys sometimes, the way we get driven back in defense. But line breaks 8-3, tackle breaks 38-31. Both of those to the Chooks. Anything else that grabbed you? As everything else is kind of even, really. Or offloads only 5 offloads for the game. As like in 80 minutes to have 50% of possession, only 5 offloads. I mean, our attack was just boring. It was just dull as like just hit ups on the first and second and third and fourth, just nothing. Like, come on, boys, we've got nothing to lose. Throw the ball around a bit. It was just like, at least against the Dolphins, they were. I feel like our offloading, yeah, they were sparking a little bit more. Obviously, not quite as good defense coming up against as opposed to the Roosters, but it was just a torturous game in terms of just watching us do nothing.
Yeah, the weird thing about it is most of our flair footy came in that first 30 minutes when we were actually showing what we could do in attack, when we were actually throwing the ball around and trying hard. And during that first 30 minutes, we made, I think, maybe one error, and that was like right at the end of that period. I think we had perfect completions until we had like 8 to 10 sets or something like that before we made an error. And that was when they made the offloads too. And then they just shut up shop and got very boring, and defense became quite poor and the attack became quite poor. And yeah, we started looking like we were going to be a fun team to watch for the game because they were throwing it around with nothing to lose. But they take the 2 for a penalty goal not long after the Roosters score the try, and then the Roosters do the same thing, and it's 8-all. Which seemed kind of pointless to me. Like I said last week, even though Abby kicked that absolute perler, when you've got nothing to lose when it comes to not being able to make the finals, you shouldn't ever kick a penalty goal. You should always just leave it all
Unless it's
out
to win the game. Yeah, I think if it's to win the game, you take it.
Yeah, well, like Appy's was, but there was still more than I think there was more than 60 minutes left when.
Oh yeah, it was early
when they went for it. Yeah, so
yeah.
It was just really bizarre that the best period of the game, we didn't make an error, and then we got really boring, and that was when we started making errors, and when we were playing catch up footy, and we were playing catch up footy very, very poorly.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. Errors 15 for us, 12 for the Chooks. 12 errors by the Chooks. Like they weren't exactly red hot. Either penalties 9-5. That's penalties conceded 9. Does that mean that's in our favor? 9-5.
No, so that's how many we gave away. We gave away 5 penalties. The Roosters gave away 9.
So we actually had a bit of a leg up with a penalty. A lot of those came late in the game. I feel like when it was already over. Anything else as to add to this?
Not really. I'm just a little bit disappointed with the state of the game where you've got a referee, well, not really a referee, but commentators and analysts pre-game and during the game all talking about how awesome it would be to have a Roosters-Rabbits rivalry grudge match win and green game next week before our game's even decided. It just feels kind of suspicious that even though we were diabolical for most of the game, it just seems suspicious that they were hyping up this game that isn't even guaranteed to happen. yet, and then now
Well, the
obviously
game's
they've
happening,
got that.
but yeah,
The game
but-
is happening now, but
what?
before our game started, it wasn't, because if the Roosters lost, they couldn't make finals. So the Roosters and Rabbits could only be set up for this win and in game against each other, massive rivals, if the Roosters beat us, and it just looked like it was going to happen, no matter how good or how bad we were. And it's a little bit disappointing that it comes to that, especially when the game for them is a Channel 9 game, Friday night. They want blockbuster ratings, and they're going to get them now.
Oh, I was watching it on Fox. It was a Fox only game though. I guess Fox will show it anyway. But
I'm talking about next Friday nights, Roosters Rabbits.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, look, I want to be in finals contention ourselves. God, I miss the days when we get to the last round of the year to fuck it up against that Leichhardt to make the finals, let alone just having the season finished halfway through the year. So, top tacklers, Johnny Bateman, 39 without one missed. Appy had 35, 5 missed, and Steph had 33 and 1 missed. No Twoley, out there tackling. Hurt a little bit as well. Other leaders, statistic-wise, Notha had the most tackle breaks with 6. Run meters, Jareem Buller, 152. It seemed like he passed the ball a lot from the back, but he still had 152. Quite a few post-contact meters for Jareem as well. What a player. Sign him up. Give him...
He's led that run meters stat pretty much almost every week since he debuted. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's a footy player, that's for sure. Post contact meters, David Clemmer, 63, and then line breaks. We only had 3, and it was 1 each to Dane Toops and Tristan Riley, which I assume was his try that he scored. No, he made a break. Out wide,
normally tries count as line breaks, and given his, I think his might have been the try.
Here's the ladder. So mathematically, what's the maths for avoiding the spoon as? So we've got
70 points. So we need to win, and the Dragons need to lose by a combined margin of 70 points.
And who are they playing? The Knights.
They're playing the Knights.
Yeah, probably not going to happen. One place that is mathematically a great chance is Mobile Corp, who support local businesses by managing their IT, their networks, and their mobile devices. Not my best segue, that one. I was really reaching in for that one. If you're a local business owner looking for a partner who would take away the hassle of dealing with IT issues, make sure you have cybersecurity in place, handle all your mobile device needs, then Mobile Corp can help. Mobile Corp is a family-run business and long-time supporter of the West Tigers. Stephen is a long-time West Tigers tragic and just about fed up, just like the rest of us. But the Mobile Corp team, they can help you out with all your tech for your business. Check out mobilecorp.com.au. That's mobilecorp.com.au. And we really appreciate Mobile Corp sticking with us all through this season on the back end of another dismal West Tigers season. Shouts to our friend Shane Walker as well. New South Wales Cup, they got a win in their last game of the year today at Wenny Park in the middle of the Greyhound track, 44-32. Not much defense, 76 points in that one. Not much defense. Not much defense played in that one. 8 tries to 6, 14 tries there. You could more tries in Greyhound races you'd have on a average evening. So ladder-wise, they finish 11th. The Chooks got the spoon in that one. So, look, it's better than last. And in Jersey Flegg, the app itself was frozen at 34-14 after 66 minutes. I can only assume that's the full-time score, but it looks like our Flegg boys, they have picked up the spoon, coming dead last. Tied on points with the Knights there, I think. Yeah, tied on points with the Knights.
Like unless the Knights got a win, then we got it outright.
Yeah, so, the Tigers, so wooden spoon in the NRL and the Flegg, and our poor girls, they're, man, after such a great start to the season, as in 48-10 loss as 10 tries to 2. To be honest, I was out and about with my son and kind of checking back on this one on my phone, and I did see before we left the house, I did see 3 tries scored, and I thought, oof, it's a bit, it's not our day. The girls, the Roosters, they'll be hard to stop in this comp, won't they?
Yeah, we were drastically outmatched in this one. I'd have to agree with what Noddy said in the press conference post game, where we probably looked up to the Roosters a bit too much and didn't play on their level. Because you look at some of the names in their team, like look at the names of some of their try scorers and the experience they have, like Millie Boyle, Isabel Kelly, Jess Surgis, Corbin Baxter, Jocelyn Kelleher. I named all of those players as players to watch out for in our preview episode last week, and they all scored a try. And then they had the debutante Mia Wood score a hat trick. And
you should be giving a Thompson Damas bet, a multi for all them to score.
Yeah, it was going to be a very rough game. But the one thing I would like to bring to attention of the fans, I did say we'd have a rough season, potentially a rough season this year with a lot of growing pains and learning curves to make. But credit to Kelly Hollis on Twitter. She posted a list of games of experience amongst the teams, of our team and their team over the weekend. And
in terms of NRLW caps?
NRLW caps, yeah. So the Roosters had 247 games of experience. We had 165, which included 2 debutantes.
Right.
I'll just say as well, Sarah Togatuki and Kezi Apps were our 2 most experienced at 24 each. The Roosters had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players equal or above that number. So it was always going to be very tough for our players to live up to that, especially when one of our 2 most experienced players in Kezi got carted off about 15 minutes into it, HIA, who then failed. And then Rakia Horn, who was just under those 2 on experience in 23 games, didn't play the second half because she failed a HIA as well. Our team was decimated into the lead up in of the game with our halves pairing that we've had all season so far. Emily Curtin obviously being out injured, and then Lizana Lutu, who was named to replace Emily, got ruled out 2 days before the game. That brought Tess Staines, who's a winger / centre, into the halves, who was then moved to fullback, and then Bo, the fullback, was moved into the halves. So it was a mess from the word go. I can't fault the girls' effort. They tried. We were just vastly outmatched. I would like to say Tess in particular for that massive try-saving tackle from the break that the 2 centres made, and that Jess Surgis scored from dummy half on the tackle immediately after. But the effort is there. The execution is there when we get the chance to do so. We just didn't really get the chance. Like first set we had in their 20-meter zone, we scored, and that was a beautiful try that we scored there for Sarah Togatuki as well. So it was a very tough game. I don't know how that Roosters team is under the salary cap. We say the same thing about the men, don't we?
Every year.
In all seriousness, though, I thought there was supposed to be limits to the number of marquee players you could sign. But you look at their team and how many players in their team that played against us are internationals. I'd say at least 5 or 6. So a lot.
They got 1 loss. Who beat them? Broncos?
No, they beat the Broncos in the first round. I think they lost in the 3rd round, maybe.
Okay.
I'll have a look, actually. Oh, I've got the ladder, the draw right here.
Even if we snuck into 4th, you'd probably have to play them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, they're likely going to finish minor premiers, so they would be the team that you have to beat. They lost in round 2 to the Raiders. That's right. They lost to the Raiders in the Raiders' first home game.
Right, on to player ratings for the NRL NRL team. So Dream Buller 6.1. Thank you to everyone who submitted their form again this week. So last one on Friday night. I guess I have to do the tally and work out. In the off season, who got the most points for the year? I think Dream Buller, off the top of my head, might. Oh, Appy. Yeah, probably Appy.
I think that'd
might
be a
have had the
safe bet.
most.
Maybe
Yeah.
Dream.
Dream probably not playing as many games, probably hurt, but
Averages,
but
maybe.
Yeah. David Nofaluma 3.8, Tristan Riley 5.4, Asu Kepa-Owa 2.6, Junior Tupu 5.1, Dane Laurie 4.3, Will Smith 2.7, Steph had 6.6, Appy had 7.0, David Clemmer 5.8, Isaiah Papali'i 5.7, Johnny Bateman 5.6, Fanua Pole 5.4, Justin Matamua 4.5, Sean Bloor 6.5, Alex Safar 6.1, and Atazi James 4.3. As any numbers that are a little high or low for you, Kepa-Owa at 2.6, I probably would have given him a 0, and I think he got quite a lot of zeros. I don't know how he got up to 2.6, to be honest, but there wasn't... you couldn't play much worse than he did. But any numbers that stand out for you? And let us know in the comments too if you're watching live.
I honestly think all of those are pretty fair. I think that's an actually fair representation or fair, reasonable representation of the team's performance. The ones who scored low, I didn't really notice too much of them in the game, and obviously poor decisions from some like Will Smith that gave away that 6 again that you talked about, that they scored a try off the back of right at the end of the first half. So I think it's fair to give him a low score. He also didn't offer too much in attack, which is why I think Appy came back into that 7 sort of role, and Will Smith and Matamua kind of shared the hooking duties afterwards, didn't they?
I think so, yeah.
And I have to agree, Kepa was not very good. I hope he's not in the team next year, because I don't think he offers much, unfortunately, which is a shame for him, because I thought there was a decent bit of talent there when we signed him from the Roosters, but he just doesn't seem to fit what we need. He doesn't have the speed. He's making very, very silly mistakes. Noffa, he had a pretty poor game as well. I think he only made 25 run meters or something.
Yeah, I saw
like
MBWT on Twitter put that out. That shocked me so much. I went to the app and checked if he was lying. He was not.
And he wasn't. And he certainly wasn't lying.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Kim
Kim mentioned Johnny Bateman. I feel like he should be. After seeing him the first few rounds, he was a bit of a spark in attack. I feel like he's just a bit wasted on the edge. I don't know. I think he should be a 13, in my opinion. I'd like to see him touch the ball more. It's kind of like a running 13. But
maybe in the right side with the right players around him, he could potentially be a really good 13, because I'm pretty sure he played that role in our loss to the Storm back in round 4 down in Melbourne. And he set up one of our tries, and it was a really, really good try that he set up too. So I think with the right players around him, potentially next year, move Sean into the second row position there, make John the ball
13.
playing 13, because he could probably play a very similar role to what some of the other ball playing 13s in the comp do, like the Isaiah Yo's, like the Victor Radley when he keeps his head screwed on.
But it'd be interesting to see what Benji does over the off season come start it next year. So I guess you'd move Pole to the front row rotation.
Yeah, front row rotation. That would be where I keep him. Appy obviously stays at hooker, and I'd probably have Talon on the bench, as opposed to at this stage probably Matamua or Seyfarth, even though Seyfarth has been quite decent for us in the back end of the season. I think he had a bit of an off game last night as well. So, hey, Tarcy James, I think there's a bit of upside there, but I'd like to see if we have anything else in the forward stocks waiting in the wings later this or early next season, potentially. Maybe in the trials we might see a little bit of a change up there. We just need some class in the backs. We need some speed in the backs. Once we get that, I can see us being a potential smoky next year, but we need to make it those signings there and cut out some of the dead wood there. I don't think Will Smith will ever see the number 7 jersey again. I don't know if he's signed for next year or not, but if he is, I don't see him being anything more than the reserve grade number 7. Yeah, coming in if needed.
Here are some of your best comments. So if you've never left a player poll, you only got one more week to do so, but there is a little box there that you can add a rant. So here are some of the best ones from this week. Kim R said, if the rumors are true that Steph and Ice want to go back to Parramatta, they certainly played like they were disinterested, especially Steph. First half was pretty good, but second half atrocious. Blore and Seyfarth played their guts out. Why they have been signed, I think she means why have they not been signed, is beyond me. What about Sean Blore? 2 minutes ago, that kick went back, and man, he just charged back and knocked the ball out to save a try and went down 20 odd points when he didn't have to do that. What a guy.
Yeah, for sure. That's the effort plays that we need, and he embodies the effort. He embodies the spirit. His interview the other day, that article that you posted the headline of, he's definitely one of the players we need to keep. No questions asked.
David said, got to trust the process. Hey, shouts Joel Embiid in the NBA, who coined that phrase and has yet to make an Eastern Conference Finals NBA season. Can't wait. Our board has told us this will be a success. They have plenty of experience. Is that right? In brackets, sarcasm. They are going to hide behind BENJI next year. They have bought themselves time and have used a club legend as their shield. Smart business operators, but not true football people. Nothing we as fans can do, though, so not sure where my rant leads. Maybe we can place bets on negative results and make money from it. Only positive I can take. Fuck Pascoe and Lee and anyone who endorses these peanuts. And I just want to say that was David saying that. That wasn't me that was saying those comments about West Tigers management, allegedly. Dominic Riordan, I think that's how you pronounce it. That was one of the Tigers' worst performances this season. From the 20th minute, they didn't compete. Their attack was diabolical, but we've lost count of the number of halves combinations we've had this year. Actually, it's 9. The Roosters' poor ball control and ill discipline saved the Tigers from a 50-point defeat. Our emerging players, Buller, Pole, Tupou, look like the long season has caught up with them. Yeah, definitely. And it's just when you're not playing for anything, you can kind of understand not playing 110%. Jared said, when will the coaches realise Kepa Ola is not a bloody first grade centre and at best a New South Wales Cup player? That second half was a load of shit. We had no direction all over the field. I wouldn't blame any player to run out of the door of this club. Peter Minuuti. I hope I said that right, Peter. It's Italian. I think it'd be Uti. Thought we really had a dig tonight, but as in so many games, too flat in attack and unable to break the line. Out wide, our defense still has issues with the sweeping backline movement. We just have to sign Blore for 3 or 4 years. He is an absolute weapon. If you compliment Blore, as if I'm not going to copy and paste your comment in there. Bobby Young said, just not good enough to even compete with a fringe finals team who had players dropping like flies and a man down for 10 minutes. Just another reminder of how far off we are as a club from the top down. And David said, I think Tristan Riley will improve each game. His defense is really good. I agree. I really like him. Patreon.com/WestsLife. You can support take part in the show. Even with the season coming to an end, there's plenty of sports we talk about in our Discord, all sorts of things, music. I think I saw we do a fantasy channel in there as well. Did I see Rob won our super coach comp or something as?
I don't know if it was. I thought grand final was next week. Maybe he's gotten into the grand final or something.
Okay, I just saw
I don't
someone
know.
complimented.
I dropped out of the fantasy / super coach side of things.
Yeah, I
mid-season
wasn't in
with
the
buy
Supercoach
rounds and
this year.
everything. It got too complicated and confusing for me.
But yeah, you can leave a rant or a question for us in the show as well, in that Discord. But none of the boys have it this week. What would you? They had a day's notice and it was a shit game. But our Benji Marshall tier Patreon, so they all get to submit a rant for every show. Shane said, just when you think you'd seen the worst, West Tigers keep giving the ante. I keep upping the ante, sorry. I've mentioned this previously. Our attack is non-existent. We get up to an attacking area thanks to our forwards, and that's where it stopped all year. Not once last night did we even look like scoring in that second half. If Marshall has been coaching this side all year, like some say he has, then this is a massive concern. How can we expect anything different in 2024? Next week, give Felaty a go. Bring Wakeham back. Will Smith, Kepo both eat it. Wherever the West Tigers go for their end of year trip, I hope Noffa stays there. What do you guys think? With the player we have I think it's players we have for 2024, what is the one change you would make to our side that we haven't already tried? Or I mean, you said Felaty, give Felaty. Let the boys, let the kids play, give the kids a crack. I guess, but a change. I mean, we've just about tried everything. What else could we possibly try with the players that are healthy in the moment?
Talon may be back for the final game as well. His suspension was 3 weeks, which was the rest of the season, and that's done now. So,
and the flag's done.
He's eligible. Yeah, he's eligible to play this week. So I think just just accept that we're going to get the spoon. It is what it is. Give some of these young kids a debut and see what they get. And if they pull off the upset and we win by like 12 points or whatever, then let's just wait. We get to wait 24 hours and see if the Knights can help us out by smashing the the Dragons by 60.
I mean, the Bulldogs didn't put up much of a fight for Manly today, so maybe Manly will be, I don't know, not turn up or something. And
Manly are ready to go on a holiday too.
Yeah, they'd be, thinking about getting on the bin tanks as well. But right, our next show will be Wednesday, be later than usual. So I would say 9:30-ish. We'll work that out in the next couple of days. But work commitments and that sort of thing as we head into the off season. But we will preview the boys playing up our old mate Woodsy for Manly there on the screen. And what's the Titans player that I've got there as? How do I pronounce?
Is that Ivania Polite?
Yeah, the sister of the Dragons player, I believe. Her brother plays for the Dragons.
Oh, that's not Ivania. Who is that? That is. I'm just bringing up the Dragons team list now. Is not the Dragons. What am I doing going to the Dragons? I'm having one of those moments.
That's okay. The reason I put her in there is a funny story. Not really funny. It's not that funny. Not that interesting. But it's the end of the show, and that's what we tend to do: is tell shit stories. Sometimes ones that potentially get us sued. But I was at a resort on the Gold Coast, a kids' resort, and my son was playing with a little kid on the playground, and an old fella was next to me. We started chatting about footy. I was probably wearing Tigers something, as I tend to do, and he mentioned that his son and daughter played in the NRL, and it was actually their dad. And I believe the kid was their sibling. It was their nephew that my son was playing with. So,
okay,
a little fun story. So I met their dad, really nice fella, Samoan fella. So,
and I think it's Fuime Ono. I can't remember.
Yeah,
her first name, though.
Brendan's got you there in the. in the comments there. But yeah, fingers crossed the boys and girls. I mean, the girls are still a shot. How many games have the girls got left?
3. And
make-
the top
they're gonna
four
make-
is the top 4 is 2 wins ahead of us. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen, but it's their debut season. They've won a couple games. They've got a chance to finish the season potentially on a winning note against some pretty tough opposition. This week's might be a bit tougher with Kezi and Rikia both probably going to be missing. But they're doing what they can. I'm proud of the team. I hope the rest of the fan base can be proud of the team, despite how the season's done a bit of a 180. There's going to be a lot more to look forward to next year. So, yeah.
And there's next Sunday. Where and when?
12 o'clock on the Goldie.
On the Goldie. Okay, so not in Sydney. Can't go watch them. But the following week's the Campbelltown Friday night, isn't it?
No, the following week after that is round 8. We are a double header with the Knights NRLW team up at Newcastle on
Man, I wish the girls played in Sydney more.
On the Saturday, I think.
Okay.
That's a home game for us, and then we've got the Thursday night at Campbelltown against the Knights after that.
Right, but we'll preview the last West Tigers NRL preview of the season on Wednesday night. Big shouts and big thank you to all that joined us on a Sunday night to review. Like I said, you are the absolute real ones to join us on an unusual night after an absolute shit day of football yesterday at the Sydney Football Stadium. So we really appreciate you all staying with us for the season. So as the is that siren coming through my mic there? Man, I've had about 6,000 jumbo jets and cops drive past my window here tonight. Which is
what have you done, Josh?
No, someone's maybe we said something on this show. They've sent someone out.
The attack helicopters.
Yeah, to come get me. But no, I think we're pretty well behaved tonight. So who knows? Wednesday night, Mr. Bashara should be back. So who knows what will happen and what will be said Wednesday night. I saw him in the comments before. We miss you, Roberto, and congratulations on your big win in the golf with the Bashara Junior boys as well. So we'll see him Wednesday night, and hopefully see the rest of you there as well. As always, as one more week for the boys. Go the Tigers.
Go the Tigers.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the WestsLife podcast. Please follow us at WestsLife Pod on Instagram and Twitter, and facebook.com/WestsLife Pod. You can also support and take part in the show at patreon.com/WestsLife, and give us a subscribe on YouTube and turn notifications on. We'll see you again next time on another episode of the WestsLife podcast.